All right, I think we can go ahead and get started. Thank you guys for waiting. So my name is Jim Coppinger with Zenta Consultants. I want to thank you for joining us for today's presentation on unleashing the power of PDF with Bluebeam Revu. So let's go ahead and get this show rolling. So there we go. So for those of you who haven't worked with us before, we are Zenta Consultants. We're a premier Bluebeam partner, which means we provide sales, technical support, and training on Bluebeam products. And we also develop and sell our own industry-specific tool chests called our Zentech Review tools, which you'll probably see a little bit of today, that plug inside of Bluebeam Revu to kind of help your guys be consistent and fast with their takeoffs and markups. And the thing we always like to keep in mind with you guys is that we can almost always beat the Bluebeam direct pricing for whatever you're looking to buy. So if you guys are interested in getting Bluebeam on board, please reach out to us. So today's presentation we're going to talk about, we're really going to take a real high-level view at the primary functions of Bluebeam Revu and what it can do. There's a bunch of really powerful tools in here that I guess a lot of folks just don't really know what they are or how they can affect their business line. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you the tools you see up here. We're going to talk about collaborating with people anywhere, anytime, right? Communicating with your team members directly while they're in the field. We're going to talk about performing measurements and markups and takeoffs. And we're going to talk about doing some side-by-side file comparison, right? So you can see what the differences are between multiple documents. All right, so again, the thing I like to stress when I'm doing this presentation is that this is the 1,000-foot overview of Bluebeam. It does so much more than I'm going to be able to cover today, but we're hoping to give you guys at least a general idea of why you should really be working in Revu and what you should be looking towards getting your company to do. So with that said, I'm going to jump over to Bluebeam Revu, and we're going to start off today. We're going to start off talking about collaboration. Right? And one of the things that's really powerful about Bluebeam Revu is that it comes with every license. You get a seat of Bluebeam Studio. Right? And Bluebeam Studio is and I'm just going to log myself into it here, is an online cloud-based hosting and collaboration site. So there are two parts to it, which you can kind of see up here on my screen. There's the idea of projects, right, which is essentially an online storage location. We'll talk about that in a second. And the idea of sessions, which is the ability to actively have multiple people from multiple locations working on and marking up and co-authoring the same PDF documents from anywhere in the world on any device. So you think about it in terms of how cool is it that you can possibly have your field guys out there in the field doing punch lists and walkthroughs and inspections, and as they're making markups and comments on the PDFs, they're immediately showing up on the desktops of the folks back in your office. That's a kind of control we can get with that. But we're going to start off first, with the concept of projects. Now, with Bluebeam Studio, right, included in your base price purchase of the software, you get Bluebeam Studio. And what that gives you, it gives you the ability to host projects, right? Entire projects with folders and subfolders, right, and files of any type. You're not just limited to hosting PDFs, a common misconception, right? That you can go in and you can host, Excel files and DWGs and just about anything else that you need to work with and control. So you can really put your whole project structure out here in the cloud for access to the people that you want to have access to it. And the great thing about working with Bluebeam Studio is that it is the only format that I know of that has unlimited storage included in your price of the software purchase. If you have 300 terabytes of data that you want to push out here onto Bluebeam Studio for sharing, go right ahead. Doesn't cost you a thing. There's no additional fees. This is all included in the lowest level pricing plan of Bluebeam Studio and every version of it above that. So it's a great way to be able to go in and work and control files. And another thing that's really nice about this is, you can go with these files and you can open and share them and give people permissions to the whole project. Or the other thing that you can do at any point, you can just go in and you can share a link directly to a file, and you can set that link to be available for a limited amount of time or for as long as you need to. You can even set password requirements for that link, and you can just copy that link out and put it in an email. And then without having to worry about giving someone access to the entire project, they have the ability to just come and open and review the specific file that you're giving them a link to. So it's a great way to be able to work on the project side. So the other aspect of working in Studio, which is probably to me the most powerful of them all, is the idea of a session, right? And a session, when you open it up, is, the idea behind it is that you go in and you can invite multiple people And right now I'm the only one in this session. But you see, I've already got a number of documents already put in place here. Right? So I can go and say, okay, you know what, I want to work on this C1 drawing. And you see I've already got some markups and whatnot going on in here. But what's amazing about a session is that I can have up to 500 people all logged into the session at the same time. And all 500 of us can be in making markups and comments and, drawing things and putting in text boxes and, putting, there's a problem here. I'm just going to type some random stuff. My typing is not that good. But you can go in and put all your notes and comments. And as I add this note, without having to do screen shares or go to meetings or any of the broadcast stuff, Skype or anything like that, instantly this will appear on the screens of the other 499 people. And what's great about this is you notice that it actually keeps a record of what I did. Everything that everyone does, right? It keeps a permanent tracking record so that you can go in and you can start to keep track of all of the changes throughout the course of your project. So like I said, you can have your field guys out in the field actively going in and doing markups and commenting and site inspections, and in real time have this information appearing back in your office, right? Without having to save files and email them across, right? And that includes things like taking photos and cameras. We're going to talk a little bit about markups and utilities and things in a minute, but all of those features, including taking photos of what's going on out in the field in the real world, instantly appearing back in your offices. Now, that's a real cool way to work, and it can have some real good benefits. But what's even more powerful about working here in Studio is that you can run these sessions for as long as you like. You never have to shut them down. So I have a lot of clients, and it seems to be becoming the very common way to work nowadays, where we actually go in and we kick off a session, right, with all the files for this job on day one of the project when we're starting construction, right, and run the entire life cycle. And you can even do it on the design side as you're printing your PDFs and your designs. Put them out here for the owner to review, for the structural engineers to get information from the architects, and back and forth. And we leave that running, and then forever, as everybody comes in and out, everything that they ever do inside any of the drawings in this session, there's a permanent record of who said what, when, where, why. Right? And there are built-in tools in here for commenting, tracking, setting statuses, where changes made, who's following up on the changes. Kind of really helps to eliminate all the mass emailing and the lost files and the lost paper trails that we all seem to get so bogged down in. Right? We can actually control the entire communication throughout this entire project right here inside of the Bluebeam Studio session, which is an absolutely amazing way to be able to work. Right? So I think that's all I wanted to show you guys right away on Studio. Again, this is a high-level overview. So as part of that, right, working whether you're in a floor plan like I have open here, or again in the session, right? You see I've got session drawing over and over here, and I can use markups. One of the things that Bluebeam does really, really well is it's designed to work with large format construction documents. Right? So unlike some of the other programs out there like Acrobat and Pro and some of the other PDF editors available on the market that are really designed to work with 8.5 by 11 business documents, Bluebeam is really designed to work with large format 30 by 42, 24 by 36 construction documents. And it comes with a whole set of tools and functionality designed around how we work in the construction world. So again, going back to the idea that you can have people out in the field, or the boss who's sitting in the airport waiting for the plane to Tokyo, wherever he may be, they can easily open up PDFs, right? And they can come in and start to do anything. They want to go in, they want to add notes to what they're doing and saying, check the size of this, right? They can go in and they can throw notes on things just like that, right? They can go in, they can highlight areas, they can circle pens and say, with a simple pen, say, what's going on here, put a little question mark, right? Whatever it is, they can go in and they can highlight things and go, hey, you know what? This area over here, right? Then they can go ahead and add another note to that and just call out and say, remove this door. Okay, just like that, real simple stuff. They can just go in and throw in notes and call outs, right? They can even go in and they can start to sketch and draw lines. They can draw lines and arrows, right? Arcs, polylines, right? So if they want to go in and say, listen, we're going to run some piping in, it's going to come over this way and then come across, and then we'll run it down through here and then down into this office, right? And they can go in and add notes. What is that? They can change colors and line types. They can change all the property displays of that real easily, right? Just by coming over and saying, look, let's change the color of that to, blue, and let's change it to a different line type. And go in and say, that's a hot water line, right? And all kinds of great things that I can do. I can change the size and the scale. I can go in and I can add shapes, so they can start to kind of sketch rectangles, right? They can sketch ellipses, polygons, circles, right? Clouds real easily. So if they want to cloud bubble something, it's real easy to just come in and draw a cloud and say, hey, that area, right? Or they can go in and they can actually kind of do odd shaped clouds if they need to. It's like that, right? And all of this stuff is editable and changeable. And I can go into any closed shape, right? And I can actually turn on fill areas, right? And set them so that they're transparent. So as you move them over items, they can all be resized and stretched as they need to be to move things around. Do all the markup tools that you need, all the text and basic image and structures. You can even sketch to scale, right? So I can go in, if I have to do a rectangular pad and they want to kind of sketch something out, they can come in here and say, hey, you know what? I need to put a 10 by 20. There you go, right? I've actually got a 10 by 20 rectangle right there that I can actually go in and I can move in size and locate it in the real world, right? So, and again, just like anything else, I can put in hatch patterns and sketches and whatever else I want to do here, right? So if I want to go in and throw in, is this going to be a brick paver kind of thing, right? And I can just go in and make it smaller and go, there you go. That's the actual size of my brick paved patio, okay? I can scale these documents to specific sizes. I can have multiple scales in case I've got multiple viewports and enlarged plans inside of Bluebeam Revu, not a problem. And one of the things that's really, really great about this, if you kind of look up here, you see I can import images from my disk. And if I'm working on a cell phone or any kind of a tablet, I can actively take photos right inside of Bluebeam Revu. So I can easily go in and say, look, I just want to grab an image, right? And I'm just going to go out here to my desktop and I'll bring in the north wall, right? And I can come in here and say, okay, here's the photo that I took of the north wall, right? And I can just go ahead and put an arrow on that, showing you that's a picture taken over here. But even better than that, one of the things that I can do, what I absolutely love, right, is that I can go in and I can add notes to this, right? And I can say, throw a note and say, refer to the existing photos, okay? And then I can actually go in and I can attach, right? I can go ahead and I can attach all the images that I need. And what's great about that is I'm not only restricted to doing one, but if I have the south wall, right? And I'm sorry, I'm trying to grab my control key here. West wall, north wall, and the east wall. So I've got 4 photos in that area. Just like that, you say it attaches them as a slide deck so that I can just double click on it and go, okay, there's the south wall, there's the west wall, the east wall, right? And that is attached to the note so that as the note moves, right, as anything is moved or changed throughout the document, that will always stay attached directly to that note. It's a really powerful tool, real easy to use. You can think how powerful it is when you have people working out in the field. Same thing, I can attach hyperlinks. I can link to details. So I can highlight a note or a call out and say, hey, link this to another drawing. Go to page 42, detail 7. And when they click on it, it will zoom. It'll open page 42. It'll open that PDF and zoom right in on detail 7. It's really some amazingly powerful stuff. I can do predefined stamps for signatures and seals and paid and under review and pending and on hold, things that I can automatically put on. So that's all your markup structures. To go along with that, you can also do fully developed. Let me just go ahead and open this up here. You can do fully. I'm just going to do a quick control. I'm just going to delete all the markup stuff that I put in place. So what I can do here is I can also do fully developed measurements and markups, right? So I can come in and I can actively run and do lengths on things like polylengths, right? So if I want to come in and see, what's the distance, how much ductwork do I have? You see, I'm getting a total running value, and I can set all the different values here, right? I can say, hey, I want to see the label and the length. I can actually label items. I can call this, let's call it a 6-inch spiral duct, right? So that I can actively start to track and see what's going on with it down here. So you see it's keeping track. I've got 97.54 linear feet. Right? And if I had another one, I'm just going to copy this one and just kind of cheat real quick just to show you. Right? So if I had another spiral duct, then I can move these, right? And I can adjust the runs and where they go, right? And you can see that what it's doing for me now is it's sorting them, right? And give me a running total. I have a 97-foot run, 142-foot run, and I have 240.47 total, right? And what's great about that, right, is that I can total these up and I can add additional information for each and every one of these based on my own custom built columns. I can do the same thing with areas, right? So if I want to go in, I want to take the area of a room, maybe I'm doing some carpet installation or doing some drywall takeoff or reflected ceiling, I can very easily go in and just sketch the outlines of rooms and immediately get all the information that I need. There's 1,744 square feet. I can do it with volumes. So with a volume, I can go in my measurements and preset a depth in feet or inches. So if I'm going to go and say, listen, I'm taking out a 2-foot area, right? I'm going to jackhammer out the slab here, 2-foot area. I'm going to do a trench right through there. There it is. It's going to be 1,888 cubic feet that I'm going to have to jackhammer out of there, right? And I can also do counts. And this is really, really important. So, with counts, I can take any type of object. You see right here, which is the 1, 2, 3, that I can very easily go in. And you see there are a bunch of default built-in symbols. So I'll just use a checkbox and I'll make it green so you can see it. So if I wanted to go in and count, how many, chairs there were in here, I can just easily go in and I can start to count, just placing little clicks on where these go, which is nice. Right? And you see what happens down here is that it actually summarizes how many of those there are. And you see these are all a group. And I can call these chair model ABC, right? And you see there it is. I've got 8 chair model ABCs, right? Now, what's really great about any of these items that I do the takeoffs on, I can actively build. I'm just going to minimize this over here. I can actively build all the information that I want to work with. So, for example, here on these chair models, if I know that we can buy these and these cost us, $125 each, okay? And I know that, well, they're shares, probably not a good thing for installation, but I'm saying, if it was a light or something else, I could put an installation cost of $25 per. And you see what's happening is that it's actively adding up and calculating all of my costs for me, right? Exactly what it's going to cost for 8 of these times 125 plus the $25 installation fee. I can build and customize and structure any and all values that I'm going to need for my estimates and quantity takeoffs. Right? I can even get into doing things where I can predefine values. So you see I've got a couple of columns called ceiling, trim, floor finish, and those tie into one of the other really powerful things about Bluebeam, which is the idea of tool chests. And you can see these are our Zenta Revu tool chests that we sell. And what I'm going to do here is show you that you can very easily come in and use any one of these, right, to pre-save tools so that you get consistent output, from every one of your estimators or project managers on every single job. So for example, if I wanted to go in and I'm just going to do the flooring in this room, right, and say, hey, I'm going to put in a floor finish, right, and I'm just going to real quick kind of go in here. I'm not even going to get real crazy. I'm just going to kind of grab some areas. You notice that Bluebeam does let you snap to the underlying PDF so you get real accurate measurements. So there's my floor finish, right, and I can go in and I can modify. It says right now it says floor finish type with a question mark. Right? This is so I can tie it to a schedule. So I can say that's floor finish type A1. And when I have that, you see that once I get to a floor finish type, now I can actively come over to the floor finish column, right? And these are custom values that I've built in place. What kind of flooring is A1, right? That's going to be I don't know, we'll say it's going to be slate, right? It's a slate floor finish, right? And then again, I can go in and put in unit prices, right? Installation cost, pricing, and have it calculating all of my actual estimate and takeoff values, which is a really, really powerful tool, right? So it's a great way to be able to work with Bluebeam. So like I said, you can go in, you can do all your markups, commenting, editing, design reviews, right? You can share and control all your files easily using Bluebeam Studio, right? And you can actually collaborate with multiple people from multiple locations on them, right? Sorry, I opened up the wrong drawing there. So I actually want to close this out, my bad. And you can keep track and do your entire full-blown estimates in here. And not only that, but you can also integrate these with Excel. So I can easily come back in and anything that I built here, I can extract out as a CSV and it'll open up in Excel and I can complete it. Right? And those of you who have or purchased the extreme version, which is the high-end version of Bluebeam, you actually have the ability to dynamically link any of your takeoffs directly into your existing Excel spreadsheet. So if you guys have some fully developed Excel spreadsheets that you're using for takeoffs and estimates today, we can very easily link and put the columns in there so that as we make changes and updates to any item in the PDF in real time without even having to save the PDF, it will update your estimates and costs for you. It's a really, really powerful way to go, right? So, and there is so much more we can do here with the tools and the tool chest and all the functionality. But the last thing that I really wanted to show you guys today is the concept of how Bluebeam actually helps you guys work with real world situations. things like document comparison and document overlay. Those are real big tools for all of us. So what I'm going to do here real quick is I'm just going to go over to my document tab, and I'm going to compare two documents. Right? And I'm actually going to close this one. I don't need this open. All right, I'm going to go ahead and compare two documents. So I can do the same thing with an overlay, just like overlaying them on a light table. But what I'm going to do today is compare two documents. So I have an existing document, right, which I have. Give me one moment. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and open that up under my. Here we go. All right, it's under my project folder. So it says A4.2, right, and I'm going to open that. Say that's my original document. Then I'm just going to go ahead and say, you know what? I also got an updated revision of that, and they didn't highlight anything. I'm not sure what the differences are between drawing 1 and drawing 2. I want to see where they vary. Right? And there's a lot that you can do with this, a lot of features. I'm not going to get into the details, but just to show you real quick, what Bluebeam will do for you is it'll go through and it'll process and it'll compare both of those documents. Right? And you notice it puts it up in a split screen view. So over here on the right-hand side is the original document, my original A4.2. And then it created a new document called Revision 1 Differences. Okay, so now what that lets me do, you see how it highlighted and rev bubbled wherever there were differences between these two PDFs. So now as I go in and go, hey, what's going on? You know, what did they do over here? I can zoom in here and watch. See, Bluebeam synchronizes both viewports so that I can look in and say, okay, what's going on? Oh, I see what happened. This table was too close to the doorway, so they removed that. So we're not putting that table in. So I have one less table I have to buy. Okay, cool. So what about the other one? I can just pan over, and you notice that as I pan and zoom, it's doing the same thing. Right? And I can see, okay, it looks like they removed this last row of tables out of this office space. All right, not a problem. Okay, I'm all good. So you can see it's just like that. Zooming and panning in either one, I can actively compare documents. And I can even, like I said, do the same thing doing overlays. Right? So if I want to overlay the HVAC on top of the structure, looking for any kind of a conflict between the PDFs, etc., I can do all of that and much, much more inside of Bluebeam Revu. So like I said, this is a 1,000-foot overview. I just threw you a couple of general areas of Bluebeam Revu and probably showed you less than 5% of what this software is really capable of in this quick demo. So other than that, I'm going to go back here. Right? And I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us today. And if you have any questions on the technical side as to how it works and what you can and can't do with it, please feel free to email me. If you guys are interested in maybe getting a price quote, or you want to know what it's going to cost you to either upgrade your existing seats, or maybe if you don't have Bluebeam yet, you want to purchase some new seats, you can go to sales@zentechconsultants.net, and we'll be happy to work with you guys. So I want to thank you all for joining us today, and I hope everybody has a wonderful afternoon. Enjoy.